What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. I want to talk today and start the metaphor with a funny story. And I'll tell the full story because it's funny, but draw on a small part of it that happened in it. A few weeks ago, on my nightly visit to the balcony to go smoke, something happened. Now, it was scary to me, but it was funny for my girl watching me. Our balcony is on the 8th floor, and it's usually screened off, but there's construction going on to fix the cracks in the walls, so right now the screens are off. That means, even on the 8th floor, living in Florida, which is like a jungle, sometimes I have to be cognizant of letting a lizard in when I open the door. Something I never had to think about before when I had the screens. Now, mosquitoes, of course, are a problem and another thing to think about. But that wasn't it. So on this night, I walked outside, and before I walked out, I used the flashlight on my wristwatch to look outside to make sure I don't see anything crawling, thinking I'm being smart. And then I opened the door. And within a split second of me opening the door, a dragonfly, a huge one. You know those things with huge wings that just fly around? We used to call them helicopters as a kid. So one of these things, maybe it got attracted by my stupid flashlight I made sure to walk outside with so diligently, thinking I'm being super efficient. As soon as I opened the door, it flew towards me. I dodged it. I couldn't react fast enough. I didn't know what to do. I immediately jumped outside and shut the door behind me. And I was less concerned about me dealing with it outside than it going in my house. I just didn't want it to go inside. And within that split second of me shutting the door behind me, I am now outside, and the dragonfly has made its way inside the house. And I see it through the window, through the door, flying around, hitting the ceiling, knocking into things. It's a huge dragonfly, not a little bug. It's literally like having a small drone flying around your house, knocking into things. And I panic. I don't know what to do. And I call my girl real quick, who's sitting in the room. And I called her out loud a couple times, and she didn't hear me. So I called her on the phone to tell her loudly and swiftly to shut the bedroom door, so at the least the bug doesn't go in there. And so I can trace it within this living room and do something to get it outside again. Now, all this happened in a matter of minutes. I think quickly, and I go to find the dustpan and possibly swat it with this flat dustpan. And by this time, my girl walks outside to the living room from the room and watches me doing these shenanigans, walking around with a dustpan in my hand, now looking for this damn huge dragonfly that has gone missing in this house, in this living room. And now I cannot rest until I find this damn bug. I'm looking in the pantry, I'm looking in light fixtures, looking behind paintings. I open the front door, I open the back door and risk letting in more bugs just to get this one out. And after an hour and change of going crazy, this is at night, and being laughed at the entire time, I gave up. I thought the dragonfly must have found its way out. And I didn't see it fly out, but it's quite possible that it flew out. All is well with the world, I rationalized. Okay, so 2 days pass. 2 days. I have just made some food and I'm sitting down to eat in my room, and I hear a loud yelling outside between my parents. Usual for them, so I ignore it. About an hour of eating later, I go outside to hear my mom tell me that there's this huge bug in the house and she's been trying to get it out and how it flew out of the kitchen. And I was like, oh damn, the dragon has resurfaced. And I see the front door open, and it seemed like she had the same idea, trying to let this bug fly out. And this time, even though I didn't know where he was, I could hear him. Again, dragonfly wings are huge, and they make almost a noise while flying, like the wind breaking against the wings or something. And I kept hearing, every so often, a little bit of rustling sound, like it was his wings hitting something, like he was stuck somewhere. And an hour passes. I go back in my room, hoping he'll just fly out by himself. I come back outside. I still hear this sound periodically. Now I'm convinced he's stuck in here somewhere and can't get out. And I hear him in the corner. Now this is the part I'm gonna reflect on later and the point of this episode. Because every time I hear him, I tell my mother, he's here. I hear him in the corner. And at first she goes, maybe. It could also be the rain outside. The doors are open, so you can be hearing the rain. I'm like, no, I can hear him. She couldn't hear him though. Another 10, 15 minutes later, I go back inside. I come back outside. I hear him again. And again, my mom's like, no, I think you're hearing the cars outside, because now I open the back door too to try to let him fly out. She's like, it's the cars. He's not in here. I'm like, don't you think I can tell the difference between cars outside and the bug in here rustling, like the sound? But she couldn't hear it. So to her, it wasn't real. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm not going to stand here and wait for this bug to show its face. So I go back to doing what I got to do. Come back outside a half hour later, and this is like a half a day later now, I hear the periodic rustling again. And now I'm certain he's in the corner by the window. I go over there, and I confirm the sound is getting louder in that corner. Now my mom goes, no, I have this timer switch thing that goes on for the temple light. You must be hearing the timer. And at this point, I almost get mad. No, I get mad. Like, woman, I know what I can hear, and just because you can't hear it doesn't mean it blunts and rules my senses. I hear the damn bug. Only for my father to then eventually get up, because even though I was investigating the sound, I was too chicken to go and into attack mode and handle the situation and confirm if he indeed was in the corner. So now my father, who doesn't have the best balance, hobbles over to the corner with his poor balance and asks me, tell me, where do you hear the sound? And I point to the corner, sounding like where the wings were hitting the window. And he moves a few of the blinds around, and at first he didn't see him, and then bam, there's the dragonfly. Confirmed. My father asks for something to hit him with. My mom hands him the broom from the dustpan that I was using. He hits him twice, picks him up with a tissue, goes into the balcony, throws him out, comes back a few minutes after washing his hands and says, you guys made me commit murder. And that day, the dragon was slain. Okay, so now I told you this long, funny story only to call back to the point where my mother and I couldn't agree on what our reality was. And I couldn't help but draw a parallel to that to so many other aspects of life where people want to convince you that if they cannot see or hear or do something, that for some reason it actually cannot happen. It does not exist. It cannot be heard or seen. And this is like that famous quantum physics question that people don't realize is a quantum physics question. If a tree falls in the woods, did it make a sound? And the answer is, since our reality actually gets created by our perception, our reality is only what is perceived by us. What we see is when it becomes real, is when it actually materializes and exists, what we actually witness. Then if there is no sound perceived, nothing you were there to witness, then it's almost as if it did not happen. Just think about being on your phone, zoned in, looking down. You could be anywhere in the world, but the scenery would have zero impact on you because all you see, all you experience on your phone is the same zoned in tunnel vision that you have experienced at home or any other place where you've zoned into that thing. So does all the other things around you even exist? I mean, in theory, yeah, right? Because if a lion was around you and you were in its territory, the lion wouldn't care how preoccupied you were with your phone before it decided that you were tasty lunch. But if you didn't perceive the lion there, then your reality wouldn't manifest the existence of the lion, and you would have just gotten eaten, and you wouldn't have gone through the fear response or reacted anyway. Swift death. Most glorious way your phone can kill you. Okay, I'm just joking. This point that I'm trying to make is something you can take as far as you would like. It's the pursuit of happiness lesson to his son. People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it. If you see something that others don't, just understand that the work isn't to convince each other of what the other person doesn't see. It's just to operate fully from whatever it is that you do see. That's the best that we can all do. And if you can't hear something or see it, it's just as real to you as it is to me when I do see it or hear it. So who am I to say anything about you? It's just that your experience and rationale cannot be used to drown out mine, to have me doubt mine. I can question and consider your take, your opinion. I probably should. But that doesn't mean I have to have my senses be attuned to yours or fool myself into thinking and seeing and hearing what that you see if I really don't. And if you want to extend this metaphor even further, sometimes some of us are willfully blind to the dragons right in front of us because we don't want to see them. We think it's much easier to convince ourselves and others that there indeed is no problem to be addressed. I've shared the JP story about the mom and the dragon, where the kid keeps telling his mom, "There's a dragon under the bed, Mom." And she's like, "There's no dragon, Jimmy." And the more she denied it, the more the dragon grew. It took over the room. "There's a dragon taking up the whole room, Mom." "There's no dragon, Jimmy." The dragon eventually takes over the whole house, about to destroy the entire foundation when the mom finally is willing to acknowledge the dragon. And the dragon shrinks to toy size just by being noticed. And in that makes me think of is to question why the other person is so convinced that they can or cannot hear or see something. What do they have to gain or lose by seeing it? Or ask yourself, what do you have to gain or lose by what you are willing to confront or ignore? I'll leave you to ponder two sides of the same question. What life has gone unseen by you that others can point to and open up for you? And what blinds you from seeing past what you have been convinced to see by others, by society, by norms? Because here's the takeaway. At the end of the day, we're all dragons, built to soar and breathe fire, shrunken down into harmless, soft-winged pansies, banging into ceilings we don't belong under, dying, trying to escape. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.